Hey everyone, welcome to Pearls of Eden. Thank you for joining me. My name is Marilyn Acosta, and today I have a word that I know will bless you. We are going to look at the story of Elijah and Obadiah and how it's important that we're not only obedient to God, but we show honor to man too. A lot of times people want to disregard God's servant. They don't know how to show proper honor. And as you grow in the wisdom and the knowledge of God, He shows you how to honor men and women of God. Also, how we honor God through our obedience, how we have to do the hard things even when we don't want to, or we even understand it. When we know we hear the voice of God, when we're nowhere in the presence of a man or woman of God, it is okay to show reverence. And I think, especially in the Western culture, they're not used to seeing people show a level of honor where they humble themselves before another, where they truly exalt someone else. They're not afraid to make them look great, even if it makes them look quasi-servant-like, right? Because that is the mentality of a lot of Western people. We just haven't been taught what it means to truly show honor as you see in other nations. But we see it in the Bible. It says in chapter 18 of 1 Kings, after a long time in the third year, the word of the Lord came to Elijah, go and present yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain on the land. So Elijah went to present himself to Ahab. Let me tell you, Ahab was a wicked king. Elijah knew that Ahab had been looking for him all over the nations. And people were so willing to say, hey, we haven't seen him. We don't know where he is. They covered for Elijah because they knew that that was a death sentence to send the prophet of Elijah to Ahab. His wife Jezebel ate the prophets. Literally, she killed them. There were prophets in hiding because of Obadiah. He would hide them and to protect them. And so to go before Ahab was truly a death sentence. But this is what God is asking. He said, if you will step before Ahab, then I will send the rain. You know, God will ask us to do what seems like it is crazy, but we have to be willing to depend on Him. He wants to see how crazy is your faith. How much do you really trust Him to be your source, to be your protector, to be your provision? And He's saying, if you do that, I'm going to send down the rain. How many of you, God is speaking, if you will just obey the word of the Lord? I know it's tough. I know it may put you in an awkward position. You may be like Esther, where you have to say, if I perish, I perish, but I'm going to go and obey the word of the Lord. And how many of you know when you obey the word of the Lord, even when it's tough, He will give you that golden scepter as He did for Esther, and He's going to rain down the blessings on those who fear Him more than they fear what man can do to you. How many of you fear God more than what man can do to you? Some people fear man. They've got it backwards more than what God. They care more about what man says. They care more about man's approval. They care about what man will, if they can harm them. And that's not the way it should be. A true believer has the fear of the Lord, the reverence of the Lord. So when God tells them to do something, they obey because they know, hey, don't fear somebody that could just kill your body, but fear someone that can take the soul. Hallelujah. So let's keep listening. It says, now the famine was severe in Samaria, and Ahab had summoned Obadiah, his palace administrator. Obadiah was a devout believer in the Lord. Listen to what God says about Obadiah. While Jezebel was killing off the Lord's prophets, Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden them in 2 caves, 50 in each, and had supplied them with food and water. Ahab said to Obadiah, go through the land to all the springs and valley. Maybe we can find some grass to keep the horses and mules alive, so we will not have to kill any of our animals. So they divided the land. They were to cover, Ahab going in one direction and Obadiah in another. So they're going and they're looking for grass. They're looking for life, right? Because there's been a drought. Everything's dried up. Everything's dead. There's a lack of resources. So they're searching the land. And as Obadiah was walking along, Elijah met him. How many of you know the prophet knew that he was in the area, right? And so Obadiah recognized him. Listen to this. Bowed down to the ground and said, is it really you, my Lord? Elijah, with the lowercase L, Lord. He showed reverence. he bowed down to the prophet of Elijah. He recognized a mighty man of God. It was not worship to show honor. And I think this is important to note, because we live in a time where people see others show such a lavish honor, and they look down upon it and they see it as worship. No, that's called honor. Even to the fact that he said Lord, meaning not, all high master Jesus Christ, but Lord as in reverence, as in title, as in honor, right? Lowercase Lord. And I think we can learn a lot about this. Obadiah was a very humble man, and he was not afraid to take on a servant role. And I like that, because we have to be like Christ. We can't be afraid to take on a servant role. And he bowed down. And it goes on to say, yes, he replied, go tell your master Elijah is here. What have I done wrong? Asked Obadiah, that you are handing your servant over to Ahab to be put to death? As surely as the Lord your God lives, there is not a nation or kingdom where my master has not sent someone to look for you. And whenever a nation or kingdom claimed you were not there, he made them swear they could not find you. But now you tell me to go to my master and say Elijah is here. I don't know where the Spirit of the Lord may carry you when I leave you. If I go and tell Ahab and he doesn't find you, he will kill me. Yet I, your servant, have worshiped the Lord since my youth. Haven't you heard, my Lord, what I did while Jezebel was killing the prophets of the Lord? I hid 100 of the Lord's prophets in 2 caves, 50 in each, and supplied them with food and water. And now you tell me to go to my master and say, Elijah is here? He will kill me. Elijah said, as the Lord Almighty lives, whom I serve, I will surely present myself to Ahab today. So while we need God, we also need men and women of God. And Obadiah would do a great task. He would obey the instructions because he feared the Lord, and he trusted that prophet Elijah was truly a man of God. He called himself a servant unto Elijah, that he would go forth and he would tell Ahab that Elijah was in the land. He would be obedient as well. Obedience is better than sacrifice, you all. He obeyed the man of God. The man of God obeyed the Lord because he understood. He understood this was someone who heard the voice of the Lord. And he would go before Ahab to make this announcement. So I just want to share that little bit of wisdom with you on this Thursday, that, we have to be willing to submit ourselves unto God and to men and women of God that he has placed before us, that we know are true. There is nothing more humble than for us to humble ourselves before one another in the love of Christ to do the Father's will. And so I just love that story because it shows so much honor, so much obedience, so much reverence, not only to the Lord, but to the prophet of God. This man hid 100 prophets. Right there, he was putting his life on the line. He worked for the kingdom, but he was someone that had an inside ear to what was going on in the palace, right? And he was placed there for a time such as this. And there are so many people that are placed in our nation, placed in high positions, placed in low positions, planted for a time such as this so that God's will shall be accomplished. Because when we obey, the blessings will come and the rain is coming, you all. I keep telling you in the spirit, I hear an abundance of rain. You all have a blessed day. I love you to life. Please subscribe, share, like, and you all just go and have a beautiful day in the Lord. Remember that you are the light because the light of Christ dwells in you. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.